All right, we're live.
And then, Drake was, down with the death row
Yeah,
thing
I
and all
just
that. You know, we had to wait
I
for
want
that,
to thank
that system
God,
to die.
first of
So I
all,
waited in line patiently for
shalom to
years.
everybody,
And then when it happened, we came
because
down to Tom's baseball card shop. You know the sports fan. Yeah. Right?
for the first time in my
We came
life,
down there. And
I got my own
I
place.
had, two
And you're
Chinese
talking to
mixes, like
somebody
two
that's been living out of
Right, I did.
Momos. Let me
Okay.
close this door. We got a
And
lot going on
I
around
sold
here.
off of that, but what was more exciting to him was
Somebody
how
who's
I was beating
been,
on the table busting.
turn this down for a sec. Hold on.
It seemed like shortly after that, man, me and that dude went in the studio and recorded Street Gospel in like 26 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, why the name Street Gospel?
Because, man, the talk. The talk. And
Someone, living out of Momos and living in my car, sleeping in my car, living with family, living with strangers, you know what I'm saying? Hobo, what they call couch surfing. Uh, yeah, there's nothing more creative than a homeless pimp. So for me to have my own space to finally do some recording, finally do some work off top, that's a blessing. Man, this video. This video right here is about when people, your people, will disown you for not being a Democrat. And in a nutshell, and I want to make it brief, let me just start off when Biden was running against Trump in 2020. I had a lot of pressure from people close to me not to vote for Trump. And the thing is, we have as black people, we have a history in this country, black Americans, to look at Democrats as the less racist party. But when you do your research, I didn't do enough research on Biden and Kamala. And so I have a poem about this called, I think it's called The Reformed Liberal Sinner's Prayer. I'll put it in the link. But this time around, after the last 4 years, the things that are going on with the border, the things that are going on at the gas pump, it's easy to look back and say, you know what, Trump wasn't all that bad. But I'm not a coward as far as expressing my opinion. We have the freedom of speech, and I exercise it because I have understood or I've experienced that freedom being taken away from me in some sorts. As far as when you've been behind bars and incarcerated before, they monitor your mail, and there's certain things you can't say. Your mail will get rejected. There's certain things that you just can't be yourself entirely because you're under a lot of scrutiny. They have a secret police department investigation agency inside of the prisons where I was at called I&I, which is internal investigations, and they will monitor your mail. They read the mail coming in and the mail going out. So you got to be careful what you say. But this time, I can proudly say that I did vote for Trump in the primary election here in my locale. And, for one thing, for me to be able to vote, I was unable to vote in my state for at least 12 years because I was on DOC probation. And so I thought that the Biden and the Democrats had a more progressive stance towards crime when it comes to criminal justice reform and something that I learned while I was locked up called restorative justice. And it's about finding different ways to address the criminal justice system. And a lot of it involves mediation. And instead of the state stepping in and handing down justice or injustice on behalf of a victim, uh, or the restorative justice model is about both sides coming to a mutual agreement that will empower the victim and not destroy the perpetrator. Restorative justice, and it's popular in other countries. I think New Zealand is one of them. A few European countries go by that justice system model. I know it was popular. I used to hear more about it a few years back. But when it comes to Trump, I probably was already the black sheep of the family because, for being one of the few members in my family that has been locked up in prison, because I was more of a rebel growing up and even to this day. But the reason why I support Trump over Biden, we'll forget about the reason. The fact that I support Trump over Biden has a lot of black people, my own people, even family members, I believe, looking at me sideways. And you know what? I think black folks need to get off the Democratic plantation. Stop voting blindly for Democrats, because when you do your research and you look deeper into it, they're supporting a lot of things that are not aligned with the way I was raised, and the things that I believe, the way I believe, how I grew up, etc. And I could go on, but I'm not going to get too deep into the rainbow philosophy that the left is putting into schools. I just want to give encouragement to everybody who's decided that we're not going to continue to stand behind the Democratic Party, especially as black people, because they may have more conservative beliefs and traditional values. And a lot of people point to racism. Well, you know what? Neither party has decided to give black people reparations in this country. So to me, the Democratic Party is the lesser of two evils. But it's just a trip how your own people will turn their back on you. I'm sure a lot of people that have, decided to go right after formerly going left have received a lot of hate and a lot of scrutiny behind it. And if nothing else, this video is encouragement for those people who are dealing with a lot of backlash, or just people distancing themselves from you, and people looking at you a certain kind of way just because you decide not to follow the herd. And what it is, black people, the black church included, following vote blue no matter who, and waving the Joe Biden flag. And this dude is so senile by the day. I don't understand how anybody can vote for him and want that kind of person, or someone who's not all the way competent to lead this country. But that's all I had to say. Leaving the Democratic plantation can cause your family sometimes to turn their backs on you. It can make you an outcast, because being right-wing or right-leaning, conservative, or even Republican as a black person, it's still very much not popular. And people look at me when I have a background, a criminal background, a street background, but not just that. That's not my entire makeup, but I have a revolutionary mindset. I've been known for having black consciousness, and performing in poetry events and things like that. And so some people are really put off and really surprised, that I support Trump, at least to win this next election. I'm not saying he's just the greatest person in the world, but you know what? I think he is one of the best presidents that we ever had, because I know one thing: gas was a lot cheaper, and I'm a driver, so by profession, so that means a lot to me. I know one thing: I remember receiving those stimulus checks. Biden ain't sent near no stimulus checks to Americans, but he sent a lot of checks to immigrants and people that are not from this country, whose ancestors did not build this country. So those are just some things to consider. Be prepared for the hatred, and I thank God that He made me strong enough, to where I'm built for it. I'm built for being hated against because, I was never the most popular person in school. People, I don't know, being a new kid, we moved around a lot along the West Coast. And so being a new kid in school kind of prepared me to walk my own path and not have to always be in the in crowd and do what everybody else is doing. So if that's kind of your situation or your spirit, to where you don't follow the sheep, you don't follow the herd, you go with your own mind, so and hopefully this country can wake up and see that the better choice, if we had to choose between Trump and Biden. I wish it wasn't this way. For years it's either been a Democrat or a Republican. I wish it wasn't that way, but if we had to choose between Trump or Biden, I gotta go with Trump. And I don't see nothing wrong with that, and I'm not ashamed of that. I could get deeper, I could get more graphic, but I'm just gonna leave it at that.